Life is a lot like beekeeping. Beekeeping isn't easy, and at times can be downright tough. Sometimes you feel like you're on an island, that you're not making a difference, and that you're on your own. But just remember, the darkest hour is just before dawn. There are those out there shining a light, being the change, and being a lighthouse. You're not alone. There's an incredible community of folks who want to help, who want to lift you up, and want to see you do well. Like the honeybee is to the hive, we're better together. With hard work, if we work together, and with a little help from above, all things are possible. It's not just about keeping bees. It's about being our brother's keeper. Be the lighthouse. Well, hey guys, welcome back to another Stream Team Beekeeping Chat. Bruce, Brian, man, it's so good to see you guys here. I tell you, now that intro was one that we did a few years back. It was actually after the second conference. Name change notwithstanding, there's been 5. And after the second one, there was something really special happened. And God was tugging on my heart, and I put that video together. And to this day, it's probably one of those most meaningful videos that most folks have never seen, just for what it stands. There's so much symbolism, so much beauty that just is a pillar every single conference. It's a great reminder. I'm watching that, and I'm just smiling ear to ear. And then it's just... I'm sitting there watching that intro, and there's a time lapse of the signed hive, the first ever signed hive being signed, and that was our first attempt at a booth, and it went so well then. And I'm back here nearly crying my eyes out, and just looking at the road that God's put us down from then until now, and it's unbelievable. Sometimes you get so far down the road, and you're just pumping out the paces, and you just don't realize how far God's taken you on this journey. And I'm just so thankful, and I'm so grateful for all the folks in this community, on this chat, at the expo, all the folks behind the scenes at all the expos making these things happen, our team and our booth for making it happen. I am just wow. That intro, just every time I see that, it just does something to me a little bit there. It's
man, I agree with you. It's my favorite one of all the ones we do. We got 2 or 3 different ones we do, and I love that one. It just pulls together the sense of everything that I think we're trying to accomplish. And yeah, I think you did pull that together shortly after we were at that second conference. It was my first, but it was 4 conferences ago. We've, like I said, have been 5 now, I guess. So it was 3 years ago, and that was awesome. It just same brotherhood, the same community, the same love actually is felt, and every year. And that was kind of the first time I'd ever experienced anything quite like that, having anything to do with bees. I've been to events where there was a special feeling, but that was pretty exciting. So anyway, I think you posted it as an independent video, and then we've used it for our intro now off and on for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Pretty good stuff.
This year, and I wasn't the only person that noticed this, but it seemed like there was more of a peace.
Yeah.
Just amongst everybody, just the overall feeling, just the overall emotion, everything. It just seemed like when you looked at certain individuals, like you guys in prior years, I remember just, I was talking to Larry about it, and I said, it's almost like you looked around and you were looking inside of this hive body, and you look in there and it was like mass chaos, like something was ready to swarm. This year, I think just with how things were organized and how it was all set up and structured, it was better for folks like you, Greg, and then I just think overall things went 100 times smoother.
Yeah. It was different. I think, last year we got some really good stuff out of that studio we did last year. So it was a really good idea. And I think is what we needed to do last year, but this year people could actually walk through there easier. Right. They could walk through the entire booth, as well as your, of course, Queen Wright Dial was there, as well as all your stuff, Greg, with Nature's Image Farm. And then, of course, the stream team. People could just kind of walk through an experience and not feel like they were intruding into the studio, if that makes sense. They felt like they could be a part of it, I think, a little easier this year, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I'd say, without getting too serious, I think we really had to dial it in.
I still don't have one of those.
Oh,
Bruce, we had a limited edition Nature's Image Farm Queen mating indicator dial. We're gonna have to send you home with one for the stocking stuff next time.
Jason sent me like one of the very first editions way back 2 years ago, and I've never gotten one since.
Oh man, look at this. Tom knows me all too well. Greg has the look of a short story long coming. Guys, there is so much that what's going on right now is when you're in the middle of all of that, right? No matter if you're a vendor, an attendee, the guys behind the scenes helping put the whole thing on, you go it's a process of not just prep of getting there, but it's a process of being there, and it's a process of detaching from all of that and decompressing from all that, organizing your thoughts, organizing all your action items, organizing constructive feedback, all these things, right? And today's been like the last couple of days. It's like, when you're sick, and then all of a sudden, like, you got your appetite back, right? And you're ready to you just start going, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, hold it, cowboy. I'm not full speed yet. Like the last 2 days has been a lot of that, where I just start ripping and snorting and ready to go. And then it's like, okay, all of a sudden it hits you again, and you realize, what am I doing again? It's an enormous process. But I want to talk about tonight a recap of the 2025 Bee Expo, and I want to get some folks involved here, our viewers and our comments. Leave one of your most favorite memories in caps, and we're going to try to star all those and get to some of those too. We're also going to do something on maybe a little bit different with the participation tonight. But I just want to, before I put everybody to sleep, something is different about this expo. This is our 5th time. We've been to every single one of them, 4 of them as a vendor. And I can tell you, how do you know when everything is really dialed in and really just operating at full capacity? It's when you don't see Cayman. And what I mean by that is, in years past, I think Cayman had so many irons in the fire. He was running back and forth, literally running back and forth, just chasing everything, I think I saw that rascal maybe twice, and that was during setup. But him and his team have everything dialed in so well that he's got the guys that are running the dock. He's got the guys that are running the setup. He's got the guys running the teardown. He's got the guys and girls, running the check-in and the tables and the doors and the this and the that. And everything is operating so better than it ever has before, where you don't see Cayman running around like a chicken with his head cut off. And then when you do see him, he has his voice mostly. And you start to see, not that Cayman or anybody else was ever grumpy or ugly people, but when somebody is under the gun and there is so much pressure, you see it. You see it in their face. You see it in their mannerisms. And I saw a completely different look. Not just from Cayman and his crew, but from everybody.
Yeah.
Our booth included, because it was really hard. It's been hard for us to judge scale and to judge growth and to figure all these next things out. But this was the first year where, even on the ride home and getting home the next day, like, even though we had to get ahead and beat some weather, no big deal. Like, I am pumped up. We are rocking and rolling and making moves and planning and just so pumped up, not just for this coming season, but for the next Bee Expo. It's never been like that, because we've needed like 7 days to decompress because of the stress we put our bodies and our mind and our spirits in to make it through. Mm-hmm. In the past, we have just been surviving the Bee Expo. Now we're thriving, and what a big difference. Number one, all glory goes to God on that, because we have all been dedicated to putting God number 1, putting our family number 2, putting the bees and the business number 3. And once we've done that, everything is just lining up. Secondly, I got to thank my team making all of this happen. It's not me, it's the team. My wife, Suze, her mom-in-law, Terry, Jeff, and then Jake and Izzy, my son and daughter. They made the back end stuff, the pre-orders, the checkouts run so smooth. And of course, my guys, Jason and Brian, running the sales floor, making all those things happen. Mm-hmm. You guys have all been awesome. We've got Bruce running around, talking to people about products. Even Mike Barry going through and saying, hey, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right? He's like, that's what we want. We want fellow bee-evangelists. That's what we want. Not just to talk about bees, talk about God, talk about their life. There are a lot of really special moments. I know we'll get into some of those tonight, but I wanted to give credit and glory where it goes, and that is God, then it's our family, and then it's a business. And thank you so much for all of the folks who are supporting the business. I've got some really special moments that I will never, ever forget, whether I don't even know if they're on camera or photo or anything, and it doesn't matter. But I remember what it was like to all be together in the here, in the now, in those moments. And I think that's exactly what makes the Bee Expo special. Yes, top-notch speakers. Yes, great deals on products. But it creates an opportunity for folks across the world to be right here in the now, in that moment, and living right then and there. And that's unlike anything most folks ever get the opportunity to do. Like the honeybee is the hive, we're better together. So let's get on with it. If you're listening tonight, leave in the comments one of your most favorite highlight moments to you in caps, and we'll try to cruise through some of those. We're also in a little bit, we'll get to the next little thing here. But before we kind of open up the floodgates with a lot of these things, guys, let's just go right around the room here. But let's not do the typical, what we do last week. What I want to talk to you guys just for a minute. If there was a Lighthouse moment, or if there was a really special moment that was unforgettable to you about this Bee Expo, if you could share that with us. Bruce, I'm going to start with you. Was there something about this expo, a moment, an experience that was unforgettable for you?
Well, there were just so many things, and I told people during the conference multiple times that I really didn't have a plan. I really had nothing I need. I don't need anything. I did get a few things, but I don't really need anything. I just kind of was enjoying the moment. But I think maybe a couple of the highlights. One highlight was, I'm going to show you this plaque right here from Marianne Sears, from the Sears.
That's beautiful.
And they made that for me, and it says, "For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord." Romans 8:38 and 39. That's one of the highlights, is that they were willing to think of me like that and give. I mean, I think a lot of work went into that. That's not just something that they just threw together, or threw on the printer. I mean, that took some work to do that. The other thing is probably, obviously just talking to so many people I met. A lot of people I met before, and then I met a lot of people I'd never met in person before, and just so many great things. But maybe the highlight of the whole thing for me very well could have been when we were able to, present that award to Stan and Bev Gore, and they were just so touched, and that was just a neat thing. So I also really enjoyed our live chat that night. We did kind of on the spur of the moment and just talked about kind of some of the things that we talked about there. It was just awesome. But I think those are probably, that is probably the highlight, but there were so many, it's hard to really single one out.
Yeah, Bruce, let's talk about that for a minute. I know we've got a video, and we'll get that out too, but a lot of times, these expos, conferences are all awesome, right? But typically you have like the folks getting the main stage and getting in the light are typically the presenters, respectfully, and due, of course. And then, like when it comes to YouTubers, there are so many folks out there that are doing a lot of good that maybe aren't getting. They don't feel like they're getting the recognition. They don't, and I don't think that everyone's looking for a pat on the back, but you just want folks to know, like, hey, I'm here, I matter. And I wanted to do something different this year, a couple different things different. We're not making it about us. We're making it about everybody else. Specifically, I'm really excited that we had the maiden voyage, the annual Lighthouse Achievement Award. And for folks who may not be up to speed on what that means to us, it really goes back to Matthew 5:16. Let your light shine among men, that they may see your works and give glory to your Father in heaven. Stan Gore and Bev Gore are the epitome of that. They are exactly that, not just for what they do with beekeepers, with Texas Friendly Beekeepers, with Hives for Heroes, with all the groups that they're involved with, but both on the beekeeping scene and off. They're making a huge difference, making a massive impact on the lives of others. So for us, it was incredibly humbling and such an honor to be able to present that to them as a way to say thanks for a lifetime of that. And for us, that was very special. I think every year we're going to do that and recognize somebody for what they're doing to be a lighthouse, not just in the beekeeping world, but in the community. So I'm with you. That was a great moment. Brian, what about you, Brian? Is there a moment that really sticks out that you'll never forget that was unique and special to this year's expo?
I'm going to share a photo of it right there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it was great.
So
that was great. Yeah.
This is last year when I was there. Marianne and Larry, they made me. It was on a bourbon barrel plank. It was a board, and it had like a verse on the back of it, and I would take that to the markets, and very early on, Marianne said, we have something for you, though. It's entered into the honey show competition. So we'll have to, we'll give it to you on the last day. I said, okay. And I went over to I wanted to talk to one of the judges about something else. And I caught them there, and she showed me that observation hive there that was made. And I mean, they planed all the wood, that they cut the boards, and then it was all, I mean, they made that observation hive, and it's a single frame that is going to be a lot easier just for the markets that I go to. So much easier to carry that versus the other one. I probably will take that one here and there also, but it's considerably heavier. But yeah, I mean, that right there, I was literally floored. I was just blown away. So really, really meant a lot. And they were like, you don't have to keep it, you don't have to use it, whatever. And I'm like, no. Every time I go to a market, I'm going to have that thing with me. So, but yeah, and I've seen other people comment about the Sears. They're two of the greatest people, So yeah, I'm still, and it's sitting right over there. It's up in my computer room with me. So, but yeah, that and like like Bruce said too, that moment there with Stan, and just I think overall this year I made it a point that in prior years I think I've been so rushed. You get down there and you just kind of you say, well, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this, but then when you get there, it's just like you're driving 80 mile an hour, and you really, there's never like a pause to think about, well, did I do this and did I do that? And I made it a point very early on. I ingrained it into my head, take some pictures. So I was able to, I think it's like 79 pictures with different people that I took. So, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to just have those moments. And you can't put a value on that. I've told people, you cannot put a dollar value on those moments where you can shake hands with people, talk to people. I signed a couple books and shirts, and that is just, how can you, I mean, I'm just floored by all of that. So yeah, but I'm going to turn this into a short story long. So, Greg, you're going to have to take over.
Just a warning to everybody, as it nearly seems like by the week, sometimes by the day, just something on the inside of me is just churning and fiery, and is just, it's there waiting for the opportunities for it just to come out. And it is extremely humbling. I've got something in mind, and it's really hard to, like, how do you say I've got like a most favorite moment when it's 3 days of just incredible moments? Like, just for a second, think about this. Here we are at the Bee Expo, and we're living in this digital world. Like right now, we see each other on the screens, right? We see the comments, but literally just a couple days ago, we were breathing the same air under the same roof, breaking bread together, cracking jokes, shaking hands, giving hugs, supporting each other, high fives, right? And it didn't matter how many subscribers you had. It didn't matter whose chat is on which night. It didn't matter if you treat or if you don't treat. It didn't matter any of that. What mattered was that it was important for you to be right there in the here, in the now. I know we talked about it a little bit in one of those videos. We will never get that again. We will never have those moments again. And that's what makes those so incredibly special. So how do we single out like a special, that like the most special moment when you really think about it? If you could even consider a worst moment, and I don't even think there was a worst moment, but even the most unrememberable or the least significant moment where we were all in the same place at the same time for the same reason nearly trumps so much of what we do together in this digital world. Not to discount what we do here, but it is so incredibly special to be in the same place. And that is so special. I think back of my man Tate, 4C's B's. Him and his dad were taking a selfie of them two with the Stream Team banner. And I saw them do that, and I said, "Oh, we can't be having that." And I said, "Hey guys, can I get in your photo?" And Tate looks up and he's like, "Whoa!" Right? And so now, taking a selfie with him, and he says, "Oh, I'm a follower. I love what you guys do. I have my own YouTube channel." And I said, "Whoa, hit the brakes! You have your own YouTube channel?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, what are you doing for the next 5 minutes?" And he goes, I said, "Let's do a video." Right? And so we jumped on, got him mic'd up, did a video, and for me, moments like that are so special to me, to be a part of somebody else's life where what we do matters to them, that what we do is important to them. For me, it was one of the greatest things to be able to take time for just the little men, like the guys that are up and coming, like Tate, like Joel from Joel's Bees stopped in, and man, we had a great time. What a super good dude. So shout out both of you guys if you're listening. Man, I am so excited about your futures and what God has for both of you guys. Holy cow. It was just really neat to spend time like that, shaking hands with folks that maybe you just knew a screen name or a handle, didn't know what they looked like, who they were, seeing folks that you can't remember the names, but their face, sharing times like that. There were also times, and I think we mentioned it on that night that Bruce jumped on and we went live. There are folks who are hanging on every word. There are folks who are hanging on every chat. There are folks who are hanging on to whatever light that they can get in this dark world. Folks, what we do matters. Being a difference matters. I heard from several folks, but one specifically, that literally he's looking over the edge into that dark night that has no wind. And he's looking over the edge. And he's ready to pull the plug on this life. And a B chat comes on. And it's just one little thing that gives him a little motivation. Hey, maybe I'll stick with it long enough to raise some queens. Maybe I'll just stick with life long enough to try tomorrow. Maybe I'll stick with life long enough to just give it 1 more minute, 10 more minutes, 1 more hour, 1 more day. What we do matters, not just in the beekeeping world, but it matters all of us as people, as humans, digging in and literally trying to stay alive. That for me is one of the most important things that I wasn't expecting, that I will never ever forget, is someone telling me I'm literally looking at eternity and ready to pull the plug on life. There were so many folks that were coming up and saying, hey, we appreciate you guys just being open and honest and sharing your faith. Yeah, beekeeping is awesome, but sharing your faith, that's where how do you pick a favorite moment out of all those things? I want to talk so much. I want to go on and on, but I want to get to what other folks have to say. What I will say, the moment that I will never, ever forget is when that entire video booth is packed full of people with every eye closed and every head bowed, sharing a moment of prayer together. For me, I will never, ever forget that. That was something special. And I hope people start really waking up and getting to what is really important in life. That's all I want to say for now, because if you spent any time with us at the expo, you know there is no such thing as a 3-minute interview with Greg. There is no such thing as a 15-second, what's your highlight?
I tried.
Tom Sosman came over. We had a brief short story long. Looking forward to some more of those. Maybe we'll get some of you guys on here tonight to talk about that too, live with us on the screen. Let's go through a couple of these comments here that are starred, and I'll start with Brian. Man, thanks, Brian. Not only thanks for being just one of the head sales guy in charge on the floor, making it happen, dialing it in, slinging the product, but also just meeting folks where they're at. Hey, what are your goals? You know, where are you at? Let me help you get to them. Like, I can't tell you how many times I heard Brian just coaching people on, saying, hey, where are you at? Okay, cool. Have you thought about this? Or how can we get you to your next level? Not how do we get you to like the supreme level of beekeeping? How can we help you get to your next step? And Brian, you did a really phenomenal job with that. And thanks for this $20 super chat. Boy, do we have some stories though. Oh my gosh. Guys, there are stories in development that I still haven't put all together that are just, what in the world is going on? What a great turnout we had. Randy Oliver gave a talk. Before all that, Jacob McBride, even though I called Jacob Jason probably 24 times on camera, Jacob McBride with 4B's sake, him and his wife were out from California, and they Jacob works with Randy with some of the research and things like that, and they collaborated and put together these solo cup, wash cup things. And boy, did that cause a ruckus in our booth. It's probably the only one living or lasting between the three of us, because they flew off the shelves so fast. But one of Jacob's great comments here is waiting for dinner seats and causing shenanigans at Cracker Barrel. That's fun. A story. So there we were. And Jason Crook he's a gentleman, and he goes and says, Jason, party of 14. Okay, that's a good number. Our family, we're like table of 9. Every church when we got to after dinner, it's table of 9 plus it's like no big deal. 14, right? Cracker Barrel can handle it. He comes back and says, good news, guy, 15 minutes. Wow, okay, great. Well, it's 15 minutes, and then it's 30, and it's 45, and then it's an hour, and it's an hour and 20, right? Anyways, we sit down, had a great meal, broke bread, but we got into some shenanigans, to say the least there. So that was a great comment.
15 or 20.
She isn't here to slap me. She probably wouldn't, but two of my absolute, hands down, favorite people that God has ever blessed us with putting on this earth, Larry and Mary Ann Sears. If you don't know them, you have got to make it a point next year to find them and shake their hand. They are the most lovable, humble, amazing people that you've ever have met. Mary Ann's comment, meeting some of the great next gen kids. Shout out to Joel and Gabby, mostly seeing our family. It's a reunion. It sure is. I think a lot of us were kind of going through that withdrawal the next day after being away from folks. See here, Lisa and Deidre showed up in a big way for the Grammys Midwife Hives and Homestead booth. Really proud of them. They were awesome to be around. They had some shenanigans. I think I caught a photo of Lisa riding rodeo on a pool cart, and Deidre pulling her probably 98 miles an hour. That was something. Grammys. Lisa's one of her most memorable moments is seeing my name on a box by Nature's Image Farm was my moment. Oh, that's real. That's cool. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Bruce representing. There we go. Bruce's Bees. Look at that. Nice logo. Look at that. That's maybe we'll talk about what that thing is some other time. Maybe what a cool thing. I mean, how do you start? How do you pick? Some of the favorite moments, or just something that's just it will just always stick with you. You don't need a photo of it. But Tom Sosman, boy, we got to get him on here and talk about some of these things. Tom, or is this Tom or Melissa? I don't know which one of this is.
No.
Let's see. What do you think, guys? Bruce?
I would say it's Melissa though, because there's two. Because it says
two favorites.
Favorite.
Yeah. We have two favorites. Number one is the people, 100%. Second would be Mr. J.W. Irwin and classic goofball. I tell you what, they're right. The people are awesome. That JW, he's ornery. You gotta watch out for him. I was expecting a coonskin cap, but maybe we'll see him in a coonskin cap in St. Louis there. Great seeing Tom and Melissa, and let me tell you, Melissa, she's on point and she knows Tom, and she only gave us a few minutes, and it was Tom's in high demand. She had to keep the clock and say, Tom, we got to go. Cut it. Let's go. So the short story longs were, they were definitely much longer than a long story short, but they weren't the full short story longs that I know Tom and I could get into. But we were kind of both being respectful. Number one, like Melissa was I could tell she was giving him I could almost, no offense, Melissa, you guys are awesome, but I could almost see the reflection of the look in Tom's eyes. And we look in those baby blue eyes of Tom's, and you see Melissa giving. I'm like, hey, I can't do that to him. I can't hold him here forever. So next time, Tom, we'll get him next time on an official short story long. And here he is right here, the man, the myth, the legend, Tate C himself. His favorite moment, talking to Greg, Bruce, and Brian, and being a part of the Next Gen program. Tate, man, it was so cool to meet you. It was one of my highlights, meeting you and your dad and your family. And I'm really looking forward to getting the interview out with you on our channel. And shout out to Mrs. Debbie Reynolds for handling the Next Gen program. She has done an amazing job with that. She is just has a beautiful personality, and the kids love her. She loves what she does, and you can just see it and all the things that they do. So shout out to Mrs. Reynolds there for sure. Cayman's mom there. Speaking of the coonskin cap warrior himself, JW's favorite moment, an awesome dinner with the bunch from Misery, the dirty side, at the Cuban restaurant. That sounds pretty good. I'm wondering, what would you get, Bruce? If you're going to a Cuban restaurant, what would you order?
I have no idea. I've never had Cuban food before.
Brian?
Is it like Mexican food? Is it spicy? I have no idea.
Probably the same thing. Probably the same thing, isn't it?
I kind of doubt it, but I don't know. I bet it's spicy, whatever it is.
Tara and I ate at a Cuban restaurant down in Aruba, and you would think that I would remember the meal. I do not. So
if you went with JW, though, you'd remember it. Probably.
Exactly. If JW was there, I would have been like, oh, I had this.
JW is unforgettable in a good way. Don't take it the wrong way there, Mr. JW. Yeah, for sure. When I think of Cuban, I think of pork, and I think of pineapple. But what I really think about, and it's probably like American Cuban, but have you ever had like a really good Cuban sandwich? You know, with the pork and Swiss, and I mean, I like it maybe not so much Cuban, but it's got the pickles and a Cuban sandwich. I don't even know if that's Cuban. Is that American Cuban? Maybe it's South Florida and Cuban. I don't know. I haven't had dinner yet, guys, as you can tell. All right, let's go through these here. Okay, let's see. Jason Egan's favorite moment. Let's see. Greg, any chance of the walnut colored Enduro Hive 5-frame nuke boxes? The walnut color looked great on camera. Bruce, did you get any of that cold blast? Brian, are you going to redo the top foam feeder?
Must be talking about these.
Yeah.
I have to explain what they are.
Yeah, well, we were really excited. We've, as most folks know, we have set the standard for what high quality wax dipping is. And while a lot of folks are trying to replicate what we do, we've set the standard. Now we've raised the bar by infusing our process, our boxes, our equipment with copper for one extra additional layer of protection. And one of the unintended consequences is they are drop dead gorgeous. They look like rainbow walnut gun stock is about the best thing that I can say. But folks love that look. And some folks, I don't know if it was Bruce or some other Southern beekeepers, not that you're, it's not like it's just something a moonshiner would probably say. but they're saying, you know, what's great about those boxes is you can't see them. You put them out into a wood line, you can't see them. They're camouflaged. I never thought about that, but that's a really neat thing to think about. Those boxes that even more so look like they fit right in their natural element. I think that's pretty cool too. The question goes to you, Bruce. So did you get any of that cold blast?
Yeah, it's pretty cold outside right now. I think it's in the 20s out there now, or it's going to be tonight. And we had it when I got home from the conference. Long story short, to use a term from Greg, Saturday night we had dinner with Brian and Jason, and the Sessions were there, as well as the Mackleys. And I've been just not even worried about the weather. I'm like, I'll just get up in the morning and drive south, and it'll be fine, because I thought the weather was coming in like at 11 or 12 o'clock. However, Brian showed me the model where it was ice between Louisville and Nashville coming in early morning hours, Sunday morning. So I got nervous about it. I thought about it, went back to the hotel. I like to have my sleep. And so I was debating what to do, but it was only about 8:30 or so, Brian, probably.
Yeah.
It's 8 or 8:30. So I finally I talked to my wife and made the decision to head south, and I made it. I had no intention on driving the 8 or 9 hour drive home, but I did want to get south of the storm, and it worked to perfection. I made it to just south of Nashville. I stopped at the Buc-ee's there and got myself a banana pudding, large banana pudding on the way. So that kind of helped keep me going. But I got there to Nashville just at a kind of inexpensive hotel there, and just got a good night's sleep and got up the next morning. When I woke up the next morning, it was in the low 30s, I think, like 32, 33, 34. And it was just kind of originally it was like a little slushy rain, but then it just, by the time I left, it was just rain, and it got a little bit warmer. Never got it to freezing my whole trip home. So, but I've seen videos of people who waited until the next morning, and I think are probably going on the same route that I did, that were just in a total mess the next morning. So I was glad I did that. But anyway, but to answer the question, that was definitely a long story, so to speak. But I got home that afternoon, on Sunday afternoon. It was like 61 degrees. Sent pictures, of course, to Greg and Brian. And if you look on my Facebook, I posted the video that Greg sent me. He wasn't really excited about me sending it. Anyway, it's kind of fun. We have a good time with that. I send him pictures of my flag with the beautiful weather.
And flip flops, and Bruce will send little videos like, Greg, question: should I use SPF 40 or SPF 60 on my toes? It's 84 degrees outside. I'm out here smoking a Boston butt, and we're having a cookout all day. And I'm not sure like which one's waterproof, because I'm also like getting in and out of the pool, and I want to make sure my toes don't get burnt. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, it's 18 degrees and a foot of snow, and I'm just like reevaluating my entire outlook on life. Like, what am I doing, guys?
But right now outside is 36, and it's supposed to get to 28 tonight. So we're getting, for our standards, that's pretty cold. It's good and chilly here, and it's we've got several days of that. But then, we're never within, let's see, really we're going to be that way for the foreseeable future. The highest temperature we're going to have is 56 on Monday, but we're in the 20s and 30s every night for the next 8 or 10 days, according to my phone. So we're going to have a pretty good little cold snap settled in. So when you say cold, by Alabama standards, it's cold. It's so funny seeing people walk into work. You see people walking into work and stuff, and they're bundled up. It's so funny. Early in the morning, it's like 50 degrees, and I'm just like, you guys, they're just like, oh, it's so cold outside. I'm like,
Bruce, we have a low. Yeah. This isn't the wind chill. Up here, we have a low tonight of 9.
Yeah, I know you guys can keep it too up there. It's not my fault you chose to live up there, Brian.
Well, the bright side is, it's a trade-off. Bruce has suntan lotion weather nearly year round and has hive beetles. We have way less hive beetles, but we pay for it with frozen chicken waterers and frozen water lines. And anyway.
But we have a little cold snap for us, but it's nothing we can't deal with. It's not the bitter cold they're having in other parts of the country.
Sure. I've got just a hunch. I think you'll be all right. I'm just saying you'll pull through.
We're going to pull through. It's fine.
Brian, the question, last part here from Mr. Jason Egan. It says, Brian, are you going to redo the top foam feeder?
Yes. So Jason, basically what I need to do with that is, and I just did not have time to do it, I'm going to cut a piece of Luan and fit it perfectly right down in that spacing where I put my fondant, and I'm going to have a hole in the center of it so it fits on top of that hole so that the bees can't get to that foam. And then when I set the fondant down, it's going to set right flush. So yeah, I have a plan to fix that. I just did not have time to do it. And it was like, well, do I wait a day or two to do that? Or do I let the temperature go to 20 degrees and then I'm having to crack tops off and do all that? So I thought, well, I'll wait and do it in the spring. So, but yeah, I do have plans. So,
well, Mr. Cayman Reynolds has got a comment here. Hey, fellas. Yep, my mom, Mrs. Debbie Reynolds, loves working with young men and women in our next gen program. She is already throwing out new ideas for next year. I love that. That is one of their big initiatives. I know for so many of us, it's an honor to be able to support that in any way that we can. But how important is that? When I think of what Cayman's crew is doing with the next gen, it's the same exact thing that Larry and Mary Ann do. And for me, I think of something, one of the old Greek proverbs where it's a society grows great when old men plant trees under the shade they know they'll never sit under. A lot of these things we're never going to see the fruit of, and that's perfectly fine. That's great. But being a part of either planting a seed or pulling a weed or watering that thing or nurturing, helping someone along just a little bit further is such important work, because once you instill that into somebody, especially at a young age, the chances of them doing the same later in life skyrocket. So when you give young kids opportunities, they grow to be able to do the same thing for the next generation. It's exactly what the name of their thing is, the Next Gen program. That is really, really cool. One of the neat things, and I'll just quickly brag, is when we were setting the item listings at the auction booth there, I saw this wild guitar there, and I said, that thing is cool, man. Here we go. Yeah, thanks for being a huge supporter, Greg, by buying that sweet guitar in our silent auction. Man, that is an Ethan Reynolds special. Really neat.
Oh, it's right there.
There is going to be a lot more about this in the future. What a neat thing. I saw it there. I just put a number on it so that anyone else who was serious about it, like, we're going to get the number up so we can get as much money as we can out, to those kids. And that's it. I put a big number out there thinking, okay, let's get serious. And folks trumped that and went way above that. There's a video I think that eventually will come out. I wasn't expecting this at all. Right here we are at the booth, and my daughter comes strolling into the booth with the guitar, and I'm thinking, what in the world? What is going on here? Because I already had a couple people tell me, hey, like, how serious are you about that guitar? Because it's already well up over. I think it was like when they were reporting in, like someone said, hey, it's like $800. Hey, it's like $1,000. Like, it was going up. I think it's. And they said, hey, just let you know. And I said, hey, all they wanted to do, I would love to have it, but all they wanted to do was start the number high so folks would get serious about it and get as much money to that next gen program for next year. Well, anyways, Susie and I are behind the booth, and she walks in with this guitar, and I'm thinking, there's no way we got that. And so I got to give a special shout out to my daughter, Izzy, and also mom-in-law, Terry, because they really wanted to do something special for me. They're the ones, I had no idea. They're the ones that made that happen so we could have a piece of that. And so shout out to Terry and Izzy. They also were able to get a hold of one of the quilts that Mary Ann brought and gave that to Suze. So so that was a very special moment for me that I'll never forget. And for the record, that thing will not just be, it won't just be a little, there's a great shot there. That won't just, let me see if I can do something here. Let's see if I can, let's do this. Yeah, check this thing out, guys.
Can't you go over and pick it up?
Oh yeah, I could. but then I get a little handsy with it, and then I want to play it, and then everyone's going to just be watching me have a little jam session here on my own. But if you didn't see that, what a cool thing. It's kind of modeled after. Let me get my head out of the way here. It's modeled after a Fender Jaguar, a beautiful body. It's got a lipstick on the bridge, and a nice, sort of more of a single coil there on the bridge. Just a hot looking guitar. I don't even know how many years it took to 3D print that, but isn't that cool? It just so happens to be signed by both Cayman Reynolds and Bob Benny. I got to do something about that though, because sorry, Bob, but I'm literally rubbing your name off it. I've been playing it so much, I'm gonna have to hit that with some clear or something. But I've got plans for that thing. We're gonna do some fun things with it, and I can't wait to show you guys what that thing can do. But let me tell you something. That guitar is not just going to sit in the corner collecting dust. Many moons ago, for quite a while, I was in several bands and did this and did that. And so for me, playing something like that again it is really cool. So I can't wait to show off the handiwork of Mr. Ethan Reynolds. Really knocked it out of the park with that one. And one thing that's worth mentioning, I wanted to, let's see if I can operate this thing here. This is just a small sampling, but one of the coolest things every single year is that there are folks who, like, we don't really do the honey swap thing, but there are folks that just gift us all kinds of incredible things every single year. And so these are some of the most special things that folks could ever gift us, and they do. They bring by honey, or there's all kind of this little couple special gifts there. One of the really cool, one of the ones I'll never forget. They're all awesome, but Marianne Sears, they also made a plaque, and it says "Short stories long, told here," and so that's pretty cool. So all those things are so special. If you drop by some honey. Or a little gift to say thank you to us, we just want to say thanks. That means the world to us. That is super cool. So anyways, what a neat thing to be able to come home with, and it'll be really special for a really long time. So
that thing was sweet.
It's neat. It sounds it sounds good. I can't wait for you guys to hear that too. I've actually got a little video, couple of videos in mind with that thing, but yeah, that was pretty cool. Wasn't expecting that, but they really blessed me with that, and everyone really blessed us with all their honey and gifts. So that was pretty cool.
It's awesome.
All right, so let's get into some more of these comments here. The one and only Kenny Bach, the prank pulled on Fred Dunn every time he mentioned Spider. Brian, what's that about?
So he was. And I forget where it all started at, but Fred said that usually when he'll do a video, he loses 3% each time he mentions Spider. He said you lose. He said if you're there and you're giving a speech, he said literally there will be people that get up and leave because they do not like spiders. So the prank started that whenever and they spoke to Annette, and Annette said, I think he does say spider. He shows a picture, and the prank was whenever he says spider, this gentleman just wanted people to stand up and then sit down. So the first time he did it, Fred was like, hang on, what's going on here? And then he kind of caught on to it, and he said the bug, the S word bug. He wouldn't say spider.
Oh, that's great.
I would have died to have been there and seen the look on Fred's face when he sees like all these people in his audience just stand up and sit down.
Wow.
It's awesome.
That is cool.
Yeah. Fred can take it, though.
If I tell you, one of the coolest things is you think you know somebody because you watch their videos, right? But you really don't know somebody until like you catch them in the wild, in their natural element. And Fred Dunn is a walking stand-up comedian. I mean, he has the most driest, most sarcastic sense of humor that is witty, and you sometimes you catch yourself thinking, I don't even know if I'm smart enough to keep going back and forth with him. But he's so quick, he's so fast, just to do. Yeah, it's really neat to spend time with people. You know, like you don't know how tall Bruce is. Bruce is like 8'4". You don't know how tall he is until you're there with him in person. You don't get the full laugh of Brian Coper until you're like with him in the same room. Like, you know, we all look like we're all the same size and shape because our faces are on the camera, but like we're all different sizes and shapes and all these different things, and we have our quirks and our funny and jokes and all these things. And I think that's what I like about some of these videos from the expo is you get to see like there he is. Fred is dialed, and
look at who's right there too.
Look at that. See, look how tall Bruce is. See, Bruce 8 foot tall at least.
Look at that. Crazy. He's got me by at least like 10 inches.
I wish.
And Fred's crew, man, his wife Annette, just what a beautiful person. So, and it's like we say it a million times, but behind every good man's an even better woman. You look at any guy that you think anything of, I guarantee you it's because his wife is 10 times more impressive for sure. But boy, there was a lot. I'm kind of already lost here on the comments. I don't even know where we were at. Let's see. Egan Bach, Miss Lisa. See Tom or Melissa via Honeybees, Greg, all of your family and the guys did an amazing job. I am pretty sure your wife was the brains behind it all. I know my wife is. Okay, so it's Tom. We know it's Tom firing away. She has a hard time keeping me on task. Yes. Amen. We are squirrel dogs. It's just squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. And our wives really, in a loving way, hopefully, are pulling us back, you know, because us guys, we want to go 210%. And we're at our best where we're like probably that 80% with a 20% buffer. So we can lean into something when we need to, but we can pull back and just, anyways, that's a story for a different day. But absolutely, Tom, thanks for the kind words there. Like I said, our team did a phenomenal job, my wife included. There is no way any of this would amount to what it is if it wasn't for them and all their efforts, both what you've seen, but all the digging in, all the late nights, all the wrapping pallets, all the dipping, all the orchestrating, all the emails, just my team's great. Buckhorn Creek Apiary, Mr. John Kincaid. Isn't that like a famous author, or not an author, a painter? Like the landscapes of like Scottish, Irish cottages and hillsides, and
Fred would know.
Something Kincaid. Anyways, Mr. John Kincaid says,
was it Thomas Kincaid?
Thomas Kincaid, that's it.
Yeah.
Anyways, not the same as John Kincaid, but anyways, again, squirrel dog. It's decompressed, defog mode, right? So just have to bear with us a little bit. He says, Mr. John Kincaid says here in the comment, this expo always seems to be my refresh I need after a season burnout. Time to start getting plans together for this season. Let's go. Guys, I am pumped. I am fired up. I am pumped up, fired up. Let's do it. Mr. Sawmill Charlie himself, every Friday night, Sawmill Charlie's got a live chat, a great group of folks. It was so awesome to be able to see some of them cruise through the booth. But Charlie says, seeing a box with my name on it and the Nature's Image Farm booth. Charlie, just all the guys there. And I know I left some names out, and we're gonna take care of that too. But there's no way to say thank you to all the folks. And actually, this comment reminds me of something. Again, won't be a short story long, but
it's medium.
Like it's a medium. Yeah, exactly. Like this. I want to go long. This is gonna have to be a separate video. But like, guys, all this honey here, like we might not be able to shout out every single person all the time here, right? We might not be able to shout out all the comments. I want you guys to know, like, you are with us all the time. Whether you're in the background, on a shelf, on a guest, a comment, like, it matters. And we want you guys to know that. And there are some folks out there that are doing phenomenal things, Lighthouse things every single day, every single week. They show up, they comment, they're helping folks along, they're giving good advice, they're just being there, supporting the community. And let's face it, you know, not everybody is going to be the lead act at the nation's biggest bee expo. Not everybody is going to be on stage. Not everybody is going to get out in front of people. Not everybody is going to get recognized, and that's okay. But it was important for me to just take a moment and recognize all the folks that I know are making a difference and are doing great work behind the scenes. So what we did is we made a box for them. We put their name on it. We put it on display. It's just a little small way of saying, hey, we see you. What you do matters. Keep up the good work. So all the folks that we did that for, just that, what you do matters, whether we see it, whether we watch every video, whether we're able to watch every live chat or the comments or see the comments. Just because you may not see us engaged or interacting in everything that you do, we appreciate what you do. It matters. It's important. Keep up the good work. Got a shout out to Mr. Dave Dwyer, gifted 5 Nature's Image Farm memberships. Man, that is awesome. Dave, Mr. Dwyer, thank you. Thank you for doing that. It looks like Tom's firing back again at Brian. I won the frame display case that the Sears made and entered it into the silent auction. I feel blessed to be able to take it home. They are an amazing couple. Absolutely.
Yeah. 100% agreed.
Big shout out to one of my, I mean, I hate to say I've got favorite people because everybody is a favorite to me in their own way. But I got to say, one of the guys that I look forward to seeing every single year, and he's a guy who's been through the ringer this year, his community, with the storms and the weather and all those things, Mr. Randy Southern himself, the Tar Heel beekeeper. It's always great seeing him. He comments here, his memorable moment is being amongst people that are some of the best people you could have gathered in one place at one time, at any one time. Randy, that's a fact. And that's very well said. Imagine all the people in your life. Like, just think, like, in your home life right now, the number of people you can count that you'd be like, hey, I'd go have dinner with them tonight. I would break bread. I could get real with them and share some real life stuff back and forth with them. Like, think of how many people you could count on one hand right now, right, that you could do that with. Now think about how many people that were all standing in the same place at the expo that you could do that with, that you did do that with, that you want to do that with again. There's something special about that, because it's just like this simmered down version of all the people that you just always want to be around. And that is really cool. So that's a great comment there. Mr. Kenny Bach, man, thank you. Kenny Bach gifts another 5 memberships to the channel here. Kenny, man, really appreciate you. Great seeing you. You know, the only thing that I really regret, and I hate to say that I've got regrets, but it's a little bit selfish, I know, but I'm going to say it anyways. But I sort of wish we had like I could have probably done another day or two just to visit with folks, right? Just how do we do that? Like, how do we, like, the booth is always so busy. Thank God. It's a blessing. Don't get me wrong, but there are so many folks that you see that are waiting to say hi, or they can't get to you because there's, I don't know what to say. I want to be our best for everybody. I want to shake everyone. I want to just, even in 3 days, Cayman's like, don't think about it, Greg. We're not doing another 2. Like, and now everyone's behind the scene. Chris Medeiros is like, cut. How do we get this live stream turned off? How do cut? Don't give anybody any ideas, man. But I don't know. Mr. Brian Zavada, Flower Street Farm Bees. My favorite moment for shaking hands with people for the very first time. Lots of new friends. Bruce, how many hands? I mean,
there's no telling,
isn't it?
And there were people there that I recognized from before, but there are also a lot of new people there that had not been there before. I know for that I know for a fact weren't there before that have come this year. So it was pretty cool just to meet new people and old friends as well.
4C's B's, watching my son Tate interact with everyone and everyone being very encouraging. That's cool. That's definitely a huge highlight for a lot of us, isn't it?
Yeah, it was great meeting Tate.
Miss Amy Collins says there were so many great moments, but seeing Tate's face light up with a smile from ear to ear when he got to talk to Greg and Blake. Oh, okay. So 4C's B's must be Collins. So there's mom, dad, Tate. There's another C in there, I'm sure. Cool, man. I mean, that's great. Just to be able to play a small part in somebody to make their day a little brighter. That's really cool. I got to meet a lot of great folks. Spent a little bit of time with them. I shot a little video thing with the one and only Mr. Glade Sessions. It's neat how many folks that, you know, it's kind of like we're out bushwhacking. You find people find you, right? And then we bring them all together and then they become part of like a stream team crew, and they become of a bigger crew, and then they have like all these things that happen. Like even if we go back to the second conference, right, when the stream team launched, you know, there weren't any other live chats, and one more live chat pops up, and then another one, and then another one, another one. And I'm not saying we're not taking the credit, we're not looking for the credit, but what I'm saying is when someone sees there's an opportunity to do something, oh hey, if they're doing it, why don't we do something like that, right? That's powerful, right? That's causing change. That's making a difference. And look at how many of these have now popped up throughout. I mean, I think there's probably something every single day of the week.
Pretty much. And I like it how there were a few people doing like solo live chats back then, I think, here or there, just maybe some smaller groups. But I think that just seeing really what it is the connections that were formed in those early days with everybody, and people just, you know, and all it's done is it's grown into just more and more connections all over the world with all these different live chats of all. And it's, you know, you get groups like us and then other people who are doing it. It's people talking amongst each other and the comments, and it's become a real community. Yeah, I know there's another community, the No Life Beekeepers, that have a really huge following, and they're on a lot of the other nights with different guys doing the chats, and man, it's just kind of fun to see how everybody's just kind of grown together, and just a big network of people, and it's just neat to see.
Glade, I really enjoyed our dinner with Jonathan, Heather, Bruce, Brian, and Jason after everything was over. Those are the moments that are just, especially those last like decompressed moments, if you can't even start to do that. But when you,
a little thing about the sessions, they did not make it out Saturday morning or Sunday morning. They had to stay in Louisville, I think, Sunday, and then I think they got to, was it Minneapolis or somewhere up in the way up north Midwest somewhere. Had to stay another night there before they finally got home, I think, yesterday. So they had quite the trip home. I think Jonathan and Heather Mackley got out early, I think, Sunday morning before it got real bad. But Glade and his wife, Jennifer, I think they were actually on the plane, on the runway, and just they kept sending them back to the terminal until finally they just said, guys, we can't do it. So they had to stay in Louisville an extra day. But man, what great people. It's just a small little microcosm, that dinner we had, all the dinners we had, you know. Brian and I, we had a huge group a couple of nights before that, and it was just a fun. And I'm glad we actually had that dinner. That very dinner is when I kind of started to change my mind about spending the night in Louisville and deciding to head south. Had I just gone back to my hotel room and not eaten with Brian and you guys, I might have just not even thought about it. I might have gotten in trouble. So what a great dinner that was. So much fun.
Yeah.
Good folks.
And I saw a comment from Jason earlier, and it said to tell everyone about what we did to Fred.
What'd you do to Fred?
I don't know if we should throw names out there or not, but
maybe allegedly. Wait a minute, you guys got the Fred Dunn riled up? You guys better watch out.
Yeah, we had quite.
So like when we go in there, the waitresses and that are like, "Are you more bee people?" You know. So they were just talking, and when are things done? And we were telling them, you know, things are wrapping up and stuff like that. So we noticed Fred sitting over against that window, and we pointed out to this waitress, we were like, can you go over and, you know, I won't throw names out that. Can you go over and just say, oh my gosh, are you so-and-so?
The famous, one of the most famous YouTubers out there. No, it wasn't.
And she did.
Oh my gosh.
This girl, she bolted straight over there like there was nothing getting in her way. And Annette was sitting there. I mean, she busted out laughing.
And they started looking around to see who had sent the waitress over there, and they saw us.
I was dying.
When you did that, was Fred's face like, was it like?
It was like this.
He did. He went. He went.
Oh my gosh! Don't say the name. But I could probably. I'm just thinking of one. Wow, unbelievable. I mean, the amount of shenanigans and jokery and just knuckleheadedry that goes on like nonstop. Like we've got a walk around video where it starts off with me and Jason and Brian, right? And it's just like we're in full goon mode. Like we're just walking around and it's just full goonery. I mean, it's just, wait till you guys see it. It's just, you're gonna see all of us like in our most sarcastic, tired, wore out, walking around thing. I'm now, Susie's gonna kill me, right? But we're back here at the shop and we're kind of like going through all the action items and all these things. And I had the video queued up just to see, okay, how are the mics sound? What's the light look like? Do we have something we can work with? And I start playing it, and then I can't stop watching it, and I'm sitting here just like laughing like crazy over the stuff. And I look over at her, and she's laughing and she's shaking her head, and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, I can't wait for folks to see, you know. I think that's what I really enjoy is like when everybody has their guard down. Not that we all go around with the guard on, but when you just are letting loose, right? And you're just letting it fly. I mean, it is just, wow, full goon mode, I guess, as Jeff would say, full goon mode on, you know. But yeah, that's cool. Keith Spillman, I did not get enough time with the Spillmans there at all. I wanted to try to get a little video with them. It is like no matter, and I always feel bad, no matter what we do, I always feel like I let folks down because there just isn't enough time to visit with them. There's not enough time to do all of the things. And so I guess, Keith, I'm going to have to stop by and see you guys and see Bertha this year. That's just the only way I can maybe redeem myself there. But what Keith said is sitting down at lunch and having total strangers pull up a chair and become friends with the entire table. It's like you come as friends, you leave as family. And that is just one of the coolest things ever.
It really is.
It's just the bees are the conduit to the people. And we should put that on a shirt.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Bruce, thanks for the $20. Hashtag Be the Lighthouse, hashtag Be Expo, hashtag Stream Team. Yeah, folks, we've been really enjoying seeing like your posts of your hauls with the Enduro Hive stuff, the photos that you've got with us all. Make sure, like, please, if you're launching those out, make sure to tag us in it. I can't tell you how fun it is for us to just see what the Be Expo looks like from your eyes, from your phone. Like, what does it mean to you? To me, it is really cool. You guys catch some of the coolest moments, and so I've really been enjoying trying to catch up on so many of those posts. That has really been a lot of fun. Mr. Glade Sessions says, I got to talk with Bob Benny for a minute. Then he stopped and wanted to talk to me about a completely different subject. Wow. Glade Sessions has the ear of Bob Benny. And you know what's cool about that? That's something only he and Bob will ever know. Unless Glade had his camera out and took a video for his YouTube channel. And then if he did, then you got to go check out the Glade Sessions YouTube channel. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe and like now, just in case one of these top secret videos ever gets published. You'll see it there first.
Glade does a great job with his videos. He is very fundamentally sound. Has the mind of a teacher. Really does a great job sharing what he's doing. And I don't know what he's going to get from the expo or not, but he has a great channel. for those who haven't seen it yet.
Dale, a Wisconsin beekeeper, asked, are you guys going to the Midwest Honeybee Expo and Wapaka? I think it was whatever it's however you say it. Wisconsin, January 25th and 26th. I can say this: we're looking at the calendars. We're going to see if we can make it make sense to get there. Any of us can get there, but as of this point, we're let's just say we're in talks to see what that might look like. We want to see everybody do well and support them in the ways that we can. So like right now, we're talking about it. I hope we can make something like that happen. Big Brian Lee, man, what a cool dude. I mean, him and his son, Andrew, boy, I enjoy seeing them every single year. They're just the kind of folks that you never want to say goodbye to. You just want to hang out with. We got to break bread with them twice, dinner with them twice. And man, what a, I mean, you know how cool he is? This is how cool Brian Lee is. Man, hope I'm okay saying this, but Brian Lee is pull my skid steer with the forestry mower behind my Tesla truck.
Cybertruck.
Kind of cool. Like that is cool at a whole other. I mean, that is like, forget about it. One of his favorite moments says that one of my favorite moments was your gracious generosity helping my son trade up for Hives for heroes. The other being able to spend time with my son for 3 days. That's cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Yeah.
Brian raised Andrew right. Two good, solid, God-fearing, big-hearted men the world could use more of. Yeah, absolutely awesome. Look at this. We have a cameo appearance by Honey Money TV. Says, my biggest goal was to get Bruce's autographed, and I couldn't catch him. Super fan I am. Guys, that's true. Honey Money TV, I mean, Bruce is their biggest influence. I mean, when it comes to Alabama, I mean, all I can say is, Bruce, let me ask you a question. Bruce, can I ask you a question? You promise to answer?
Sure.
All right, Bruce, knock, knock.
Who's there?
Alabama.
Alabama, Roll Tide.
Oh, man. Oh, so close. We got him so close. You have to listen to some of these videos from the expo to get that. Boy, these guys, these Roll Tide guys, they're really serious about the basketball, aren't they? Or is it baseball? Might be women's field hockey. Is it women's field hockey you guys are into? Whatever that it is. That's a cool Atlanta Braves hat you got there.
It almost looks like a boot mark, like he stepped on that hat or something.
Wow. Looks like he threw it across the room. Maybe even cried in it.
It's called the Mullet A.
Who is Honey Money TV? You guys, you've got to go over and check out that YouTube channel. Believe me, you don't want to miss it. Honey Money TV. Go to that YouTube channel, hit subscribe, hit like. One of a kind, to say the least.
You might just be surprised at who that actually is.
Okay, came in. Yep. Hey, fellows, my mom, Miss Debbie Reynolds, loves working with young men and women in our Next Gen program. Already throwing out new ideas for next year. Yeah, very well done by the whole Reynolds crew. Super big shout out to Mr. Matt Bendig for a $20 super chat. Man, Matt, thank you so much for that. We're going to put that to good use for sure. I might have to make a little bit of a purchase for this thing. I think maybe we'll put that $20 towards it. What am I talking about? You'll have to wait, find out. Guys, a lot of questions. We're going to try to get through all these comments, so bear with us. I know it seems like rapid fire, but we want to hear what you guys are all about. David Lapp comments, is that copper naphthenate or whatever it's called? Bob uses that as well as a pre-dip before painting. And what I'll say is no, it's not naphthenate. Obviously, we say this a million times and folks get it. What we do specifically is proprietary. But when it comes to copper, we're using a safe. I'm not saying what Bob's doing is wrong. I'm not saying what Bob is. I'm not saying any of that. But what I'm saying is there are different levels of safeness when it comes to what we do with copper and naphthenates and things like that. I'm in no way saying if you're using naphthenate or you're using diesel fuel with yours that you're bad and are killing the ecosystem or nothing like that. I'm just saying what we do is much, much safer. And we are really proud to have a copper infused with our wax tip boxes? Great question. Man, you guys are awesome tonight. I can't even begin to thank you guys all, but Mr. Richard R. Briner Jr. Gifted another five memberships to folks in our channel. Man, that thank you so much. Highland Honey, favorite moment, Saturday morning prayer led by Greg. It soothed my troubled soul. Man, wow. Thank you. There's a whole lot that I want to say about that. Here's what I just for right now will share is, in the mornings I get up and I get into the Word. I usually read a couple things. This year, great grandma Eileen brought. She gave me this new devotion, morning men's devotional thing, and what I flipped to that morning is unbelievable. And how that spoke to me, it just started melting. Something started exploding as soon as I read those words in the morning in the cabin before we headed down to the conference. God was working, and I could feel it, and it was just one of those things where God moved, and that was the right thing to do at the right time with those folks for whatever reason. So for us, that was the moment that I will never ever forget, where it was every eye closed, every head bowed, all together in that moment of prayer. That was something really special, and so that was my highlight as well, for sure. Okay, so we're a little late on some of these, but yeah. Jason's probably just rubbing it in. Brian, tell them what we told the server say to Fred. Maybe save that one for the next episode of Short Story Long.
Yeah, that was funny.
Okay, we got through all of those comments. We're already at an hour and a half.
Wow.
What we were trying to do, we probably can't even get into all that tonight for as long as we've been. Brian, if you cruise through and see any more comments there, let us know. If Cayman's still on here, I know people are going to be chomping at the bit. When are the dates? What are the things? All that. Cayman, if you're still on here, drop a link, or we can drop one for you if you want to jump on and say. But Cayman, if you've got any updates or feedback or favorite moments, if you want to jump on and talk about it, cool. If you want to leave a couple in the comments, but I know folks are going to be interested in hearing from the man himself, what does this conference mean to him? But I'm still trying to just organize my thoughts from this. But what I can say is I think the mindset and the heart set of not just the folks that showed up at the conference, but the folks who are working the back docks, the folks that are working the vendor hall, the folks that are working the check, like everything. There was a piece that passes all understanding that I don't ever recall being there. And maybe it was it could be a me thing. It could be a me and my team chaos and the frantic of trying to grow a booth and putting out more than a semi load of equipment. Maybe is where all these things lead. But it just felt like everything was so smooth. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And that's what it felt like. Everything was just smooth. Everything. And man, what a just incredible privilege it is to be operating with so many other folks who are operating like that too. It makes a really big difference. And so I'm really grateful for that. Let's see if we got any more comments here. I think we've got through just about most of them. Bohemia Bees, Jason again. I know I put you on the spot earlier, but man, thank you so much, Jason, for repping and slinging Enduro Hive wax dipped equipment there at our booth. And also, you guys did a phenomenal job talking about the features and benefits of Queen Right Dial. Folks really got dialed in. See what I did there? Nonstop. Because you guys were like right there. We were able to show them the product, show them on the Hive bodies, talk to them about what's, why this is something to think about. Mm-hmm. Folks love those things. And so for you guys to create a special limited edition run for us, just for the expo, that was really cool too. So Queen Right Dial, man, I can't say enough good things. And here's what I'll say. We have a beautiful opportunity here. And what we're seeing is innovation. What we're seeing American-made companies that are stepping up in a big way. And what we're seeing is the cream rising to the top. We're seeing the best of keep making a way. They keep digging in year after year, and that provides so many opportunities for the next up and coming, for the next folks. You know, there are a lot of folks, it was their first year ever coming to a Bee Expo. It was their first year trying to, like, that is where it's at, right? Making sure that the next round of folks see an opportunity. They want to dig in. They want to be a part of this. They want to make it happen. You can't do that unless everything is operating where people can see success, where people can see that there is opportunities, and where people can say, hey, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But I'm going to get in here. I'm going to dig in. I'm going to do the work. We're going to make this happen. We're going to do it together. Man, that is the cool thing. I saw there's a lot of great booths this year. I saw a lot of great innovations. And what I am really, really pumped up to see, I saw a lot of truly 100% made in the USA products popping up, making a stand, fist pumping. That's awesome. I got a lot more to say about that, but to me, that really gets me pumped up. Barker's Bees and Honey. Oh man, great dude. Obviously, you guys know him so well from Bruce's interviews and things there. I thought about you guys the whole week while I was slaving away on my wife's house. Well, hey man, you might not have been there, but I know you were there at Spirit. There was a lot of folks that couldn't make it. Barker couldn't get there. Tennessee Tim couldn't get there. Phil Nouse couldn't get there. I'm leaving a bunch of people out, but Ricky Rorick, his crew. Look, folks, if you weren't there, we were thinking about you. We really were. You were still there. You're still a part of it. A piece of you is still there with all of us. We'll hope to see you there on the next one, but cool. What else, guys? Yeah, I mean, a lot of folks are commenting. They're just shouting the same things. Made in America.
There's
Go ahead,
a question
Bruce.
from Toby Reeder right there. I don't know if you see it. He's the guy that lives close to me down here. He lives about an hour away.
Okay, let's see. Greg, are you coming to Bruce's with that shipment? I think we're planning on January 31st. We're going to have another load of Enduro Hive waxed equipment coming down to a bunch of folks down in the Alabama area. For all of you who are in the know on that, who have already put those orders together, we're going to be reaching out. We're going to have I think we're going to try to have a nice, fun rendezvous spot for that. And we can get together, fellowship, maybe even break some bread, and then looking forward to delivering that equipment to you guys there too. I see a trend happening where and folks are popping up all over the country where they're interested in the product. They want several skids, one skid, doesn't matter. We can put a bunch of guys together, ladies, beekeepers, folks who are reselling it. It's a fun time to be producing a quality, top-notch product. So, Mr. Toby Reeder, we'll see you soon.
Good, yeah. Did he order some, Greg, or Toby?
He did.
Okay,
yep.
Great. Yeah,
yep,
it's going to be goal date is 31st of January on that.
Yep, goal day January 31st. Yep. Let's see, but Jason, everyone say a prayer for Terry at Guardian. Yeah, absolutely. Just say an unspoken prayer there, if you would, for Mr. Terry Chapman and his family. Yeah. Keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Brian's got a buddy right now, another unspoken prayer. A lot of folks, man, are it's you know, there's life is all about mountains and valleys. It's the same God on the mountain as in the valley. There are times where we just feel like we are clinging hard, extra hard. We've all been there, and we've all needed those prayers. So keep those guys in your thoughts and prayers for sure. Okay, I think we've made it through all the comments. So what an incredible thing, Bruce. As we kind of start to kind of think about this, you know, I think a lot of videos are going to be coming out, and I think, you know, something's happened. You know, when the first conferences were kind of first going on, when it was like really fresh and raw, like everyone was like blasting out videos left and right, boom, 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 boom. And then everyone kind of got to see what that was about, and that was the trend. Let's do that. Last year, it seemed like there wasn't as many folks who were trying to push out a bunch of information because the conference was special. And I'm not saying it wasn't, but there was a lot of folks who had been there for the several years before and were either burned out or they were tired or they couldn't get around to getting the videos out. this year, there is a fresh new feeling with the conference, and I think a lot of folks are picking up on that. I've seen a ton of videos already, shorts, social media posts, videos launching. Like today, I mean, there are so many, but Rob posted a really funny short of me standing up on one of these old propane boxes that Yappy had out in the field. Rob's got a great video coming out, I think Friday night, but it's just, there's a different feel to the whole thing, and folks are really pumped up to share all that. But let's do this before we sign off tonight. Let's get an update for the man of the hour himself, kind of hear from his own vantage point through the eyes of Mr. Cayman Reynolds. Cayman, do you have your voice?
Fellas,
okay, not just sign language. We can hear you.
Good deal. Good deal. I fooled with all these gadgets myself, and so it's a 50-50 chance whether it works or not. So we did well today.
Cayman, I got to say, a lot of folks said it in the years past. You know, you had so many irons in the fire. You were a ricochet, going back and forth, back and forth. That wears on folks. Folks saw that in you. This year, I hardly even saw you at all. I saw you in the very beginning during load-in because you had the team in place. You got to do what you do best. The team were in place. Everything was just seemed to be running so smooth. Can you talk to us a little bit, Cayman, about what this year felt like for you and what this conference meant for you?
Well, it always feels crazy, but this year it wasn't like we're fixing to break our minds in the process of it. It really helped because we had a year under our belt with Louisville. And of course, every year I'd like to think that we get better. But my team has also gotten a lot better. I've had several guys and gals really just take a lot of initiative. And we've picked these guys and girls from either meeting them at conferences or various other things. Some of them just jumped in at one of our expos, whether we wanted them to or not. Some of them kind of forced themselves on us. And we try to beat them away, and they just either weren't intelligent enough to take a hint or just really believed in what we were doing and wanted to be a part of it. So it felt really good. This was the first year I can clearly say that I enjoyed myself to any reasonable extent. Last year was good. I definitely felt good about last year, but it really, we took a beating trying to force it into basically a 4-day period. So last year was a load-in day, half a day, then half a day of conferencing, then 2 full days of conferencing. This year, we did 2 days prior of load-in, and then we did half a day of conference with load-in. Wait. No. 2 days of load-in on our end, then a day of load-in for you all, then a half day of load-in for you all, and then the expo. So we spread it out a lot more, and it's partially you all's fault because you keep bringing more stuff every year. But you know, a lot of the companies like yours are really pretty low maintenance. You know, we don't have to worry about you guys. You guys basically come in, make sure you have a dock, and you know, maybe we'll help you unload a little bit. But you know, companies like yours are really low maintenance. There's a few of them that are super high maintenance. They may not be back next year. But there's always a few moments like that. And my staff is just, these guys are super professional, and they have to deal with a lot of stuff on their feet. And it's a tough job, and many hours of it. And with 3,600 plus people that we had, there's always a few cantankerous ones. Beekeeping is great. The percentages are wonderful. Most people are very easy to get along with, but we deal with the peons on the back end. So hopefully nobody or very few people on the attendee side have to experience it on their end, because our mission is to make it a fun experience. And some of my guys had to remove some people from the building a couple times, and wow, you know, they just disappeared. But overall, it felt really good. It went good. The only complaint I have, the only one, is that I still ended up doing a little bit more work than I wanted. It was all good work. You know, I was over here with the Next Gen program at this hour. I was in the commercial room helping jump that off. I was moderating this panel, which was great. And so I got to experience all of that stuff. I really got to spend a good bit of time with those groups, but the vendors, I don't think I was in 20 booths for more than 2 minutes the entire time. And that's just 20 out of 158 vendors. So it's always a big bummer. Like I was texting Bruce earlier, you know, I saw Bruce from afar. I maybe said hi. I know I didn't say hi to Brian, I don't think.
I caught you for a split second.
Yeah, I think at one point I was in the middle of something crazy. And then you did something. I was having to deal with somebody and I was ticked off. So I didn't really stop and even say hello. I just kept moving. And because I knew what was going to come out of my mouth wasn't going to be worth hearing anyways. It would have it was better I kept moving. And then I know I talked to Greg a little bit because I saw him earlier on with load in and stuff, but still not a lot. So there were so many cool products there that I didn't get to see. And then yeah, so thankfully it still went really good, and we learned a ton this year about the workshops. But that was probably my favorite addition this year. Obviously, we have a lot of logistics to figure out, and there's a lot of questions revolving. What are the dates? Where's it going to be at? Do the workshops better, Cayman? Can we have a pin? Can we have a patch? Can we have a set time for every state and province to have their own get together? Sure, why not? Absolutely. No, it's all good. Chris is coming on full time this month. So
Chris, your guys, I mean, I know you're so many of them. I can't even begin to list them all, but you've got Steve Amos, Jake Osborne, Randy Souther, Jeremy Lindsay, Chris Medeiros, a bunch more, and I don't mean to forget your names, but so many of those guys, they step up in a big way. Not only are they giant of men, but they are just giant. They're big boys, but they got even bigger hearts and strong backs, and they'll do anything to help you do anything. And that has made such a tremendous difference. Just letting us get a semis in there early, and it's all those things I think stack up, and it just relieves the tension in the room. It lowers the temperature, and those things just stack and build. Cayman, I know there's a lot that you're still unpacking and kind of debriefing and decompressing, but as you look back on the experience that you had, even from the inside, was there one moment so far that really sticks out that was special to you?
You know, there's several. Watching Marianne Sears get the grand champion. The Honey Show was pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah.
The youth program was really good too. Excuse me. Must have been a dust bunny in the air. That's just weird. There's some of the kids that were just, all of them were great, but there were some of them that were just so deep into it and so excited to be there. And there were some things that, these people want to remain anonymous, but there were some people that did stuff for some of those youths that were underprivileged. And it wasn't just, some of them were poor. That's all there was to it. And a couple of people recognized that, and some of the vendors did it and helped them out. And there were several vendors that chipped in on that. And that's always exciting, because we do want to give to all the youth, but there are sometimes, we're all sometimes in a position where we need some help and need more than just a little bit of help. And there was a couple of people that recognized that and just took that up on their own without anybody asking. There's a lot of that goes on the expo, a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and there's like 3 or 4 things I can think of, but I literally am sworn to secrecy. And that's the good though. There's a lot of good that happens there. There's stuff that's raised for Hives for Heroes. It's way more than just a bee conference. It's a people conference. It just happens to be that all these people are in the bee industry. This is the areas that we're tasked with taking care of, and we all go through different seasons. So sometimes people have to take care of me, and hopefully sometimes we can help others. And with a big group of caring people, we can do a lot, and there's a lot that happens, but it's not, the Bee Expo doesn't deserve the credit. There's a lot of individuals there who do, and I want to turn it back for a second to my staff. a lot of them do it because they're big fans of you guys and other people as well here on YouTube. They're huge fans of Bob's, and I know at least 5 of them are in the chat room right now, and they were in before I even hopped on. So, you know, they're following you as well. Randy Souther, the Tar Heel beekeeper, he's helped us a few years and always is, you know, someone rock solid we can count on. It's also got some really darn good sourwood honey, which I'm making sure my son can't reach. I'm putting it high on the shelf. And then Ryan Arnold, I don't think he's in the chat. I don't think he does a whole lot of YouTubing, but
Great guy.
Boy. Chris Medeiros is in the house, and you know, Chris, pretty much all the signage that you see, all the website stuff you see, and all the imperfections.
No typos. There's never
no
a typo.
Typos.
Hey, don't forget Josh Hager. I left Josh Hager out earlier, but he's zipping around with walkies. Great guy.
Yeah, Josh with Bearded Bee Works has been helping.
You know what I noticed this year, Cayman?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I noticed this year, though?
Oh, what?
And I know what you're going to say after this, but I noticed that this year everything was kind of dialed in.
See what he did there.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, Bruce, you didn't tell me there's going to be this level of shameless plugging.
That's right.
I know.
Plug it when you can.
They just, yeah.
And it can be yours for $19.95, but order now. Within the next 10 minutes, we'll also include
free shipping every yesterday.
He needs to pay you a fee for advertising on this portion of our video tonight.
That's right.
Listen, I think, Cayman, you kind of, and Greg, we kind of developed, or we've kind of adopted the phrase, the bees are the conduit to the people. Yeah. I think Greg kind of came up with that, but as a stream team, that's kind of one of the things that we've adopted here is the bees are the conduit to the people, as well as Greg's hashtag or theme that he already had, Be the Lighthouse. And I really think that you just hit that nail on the head a while ago when you mentioned it's really, you know, a bunch of people that like bees getting together is what it is. And that's really what it's all about. You see these kids with so much joy and happiness in their faces, just so excited, and all the people that have made that possible. And I too feel like just watching the staff and in general, I saw you walking around a couple of times, but you know, just more of a relaxed, like we kind of have this thing under control. We're kind of, you know, everybody seemed to be a little bit less stressed, if that's the word for it. And when the staff is less stressed and less, you know, kind of stressed out about things, then that creates a more calm conference, I think. And last year you had to you were kind of starting from scratch again, and it was so big last year. And this year, I think you learned a lot from the last several years. And this year you were able to just take all those lessons learned and put on, you know, a more, I'm sure it felt a little bit more, you felt a little more on top of things this year after the experiences you've had in the past.
100%. And if I had to pick one thing that made me happiest, obviously, whether it's selling honey or producing a conference, we want people to really enjoy whatever we do. That's the goal. And sure, we need to make money to be able to operate and to hire Chris so that Laurel can get fired, so she can work on raising our offspring a little bit more, and also managing a lot of other things in the business behind the scenes. So, you know, Chris is going to be a valuable addition. But if there's one thing that I had to say that always makes me the happiest, is getting to bond more and see my staff happy, because it's a big sacrifice. These guys lose their voices, and then they have to deal with the unpleasant stuff that other beekeepers that are there don't have to deal with. I mean, Steve Amos had a guy who was trying to sneak in the back door to pick up free stuff. To pick up stuff for free. And he had placed an order with one of the companies, but they didn't know that he had bought a ticket, or hadn't bought a ticket, excuse me. And so that's a job nobody wants to have. Steve Amos and several other guys, that's what makes these guys so great, is they're very good people, but they also can be strong and firm when they need to be, without losing control, because there are some people, and some of these people probably do deserve someone to let them have it. But none of our guys are throwing any roundhouses, thankfully, because several of our guys, if they did,
you're done. Yeah, you're done.
You know, Ryan Arnold, Steve Amos,
All of them.
Jake Osborne, Big Jake. You know,
Mm-hmm.
all of these guys could pick me up with one hand probably, and have probably thought about doing so at some point. But no, getting to have dinner and lunch with these guys and be able to plan before the expo and just have a lot of laughs, and also sharing on several of the stories of what happened behind the scenes, and deal with those together and solve these problems together. Being able to see them enjoy it. I appreciate those guys hanging out in the past few years where it hasn't been as easy. Yeah, Jake's got a new nickname, Jake Almost Bear-Proof Osborne. It's too funny. It's kind of an inside joke.
You know, I look back, and I said when I was talking to Larry, and who's been to all 5 of the conferences that you've put on, but he was just asking me like my thoughts this year, and I said it very early on. It's almost like there was like a peace this year, and it was like a more family atmosphere. But like prior years came and you looked whooped, you know. And
I was whooped.
You did. You looked whooped. I mean, you know, when you jumped on our live stream, and you could tell you were just utterly exhausted. But this year, to see you how you are right now, just days afterwards, you can tell that you guys, and I'm not going to say that you dialed in and whatever, but you guys are developing a very well-oiled machine, you know, and the whole staff all together. I mean, I heard it from countless people. You guys did a fantastic job. You did.
Well, thank you.
Cayman, what's one thing you're looking forward to for next year?
For next year, for the expo, is what you're talking about, right? The expo. So, okay, because I've got a lot of things I'm looking forward to outside of the expo. I'm ready to do some bees. I'm ready to be done with the conference. I'm so thankful it's over. But the main thing I'm looking forward to next year is.
You got a warning from your VP here, just so you know.
Don't overpromise here, boss. Dang it.
What's one thing you're looking forward to with beekeeping? Let's keep you out of trouble with Medeiros, because you crack lids, he cracks skulls. What are you looking forward to in the beekeeping season?
So I am a lot of anyone who's watched Bob Binney's videos over the last month or so and kept up, he's made some 4-way pallets, and a lot of those are mine. And so I'm looking forward to having really high quality Bob Binney pallets, and I'm going to 4 ways on everything. I'm taking my 2-way pallets. I'm going to be changing the runners and going 4 ways on those. And I'm going to have a forklift this year, so that's going to be nice. And I'm going to have help as well. So Chris is going to be on board, and I'm going to be 1099ing another guy who also does appraisal work. He was one of our staff, and he's been a beekeeping buddy of mine for years, and I'll be really focused on making NUCS. And also I plan to, you know, Lord willing, nothing crazy happens, take the bees back up to Wisconsin this year. And since I'll have more help, I'm going to be able to actually do better videos and run my bees better as well. So I'm looking forward to not having to just limp by with things, having the bandwidth, and also having the help to be able to do everything at 100%. The conference really took over everything else. So the YouTube channel suffered, the beekeeping suffered as well, where I was having to gear back. I've got a lot of good equipment that's just sitting and it needs to be used. So I'm looking forward to getting back into beekeeping kind of again, but also not breaking my back. That I'm looking forward to not. I hand bombed all the hives that went up to Wisconsin and back, and
oof.
Yeah, and I'm not the biggest guy in the world. Most people have figured that out by now. I don't lift things quite as good as I did 10 years ago. My body I could still lift them the same way. The payoff, the consequences of what I could get away with 10 years ago are quite different. And I don't like not being asleep for 5 days very well because my back is screaming bloody murder. So I'm looking forward to that. As far as the expo, I'm really looking forward to the promise of dialing in the. Ooh, I just said dialing
He
in.
just said it. Oh, let's go. Way to
Do I get like
go.
$10 every time I say the word dialing in? So
that commission check is in the mail, right, Brian?
Yeah, that's right. So I'm looking forward to honing in on on the workshops. We barely got them done. I mean, the reason we're so haggard, typically late towards the expo is, Chris does help a ton, but it's primarily Lorelei, and this is way too much work for two people, especially when you're raising kids. There's just so many logistics. I mean, even after the conference, there are so many messages and so many emails. It is just impossible. If I could have energy 24 hours a day, I might be able to keep up with it, maybe. So it's a frustrating experience. In the workshops, we had to focus on the things that were extremely critical. I didn't want to have to bow out on those, but we almost didn't have the workshops this year. And so they were announced last minute. And of course, they all pretty much sold out. Like Gus is sold out in like 50 minutes. The microscope workshop went out in just a handful of hours, 3 or 4 hours or something like that. And I know a lot of people were disappointed they didn't get to come to those. No one was more disappointed than I was that I didn't get to go to the microscope class, but I felt like it was kind of unfair of me to get to go when a lot of other people wanted to and couldn't. So, and I probably needed to do other things. So the expanding the workshop aspect of the expo and what we can do there, possibly, sorry, Chris. Looking at maybe extending it a day. And this, I'm not sure if we're going to do this for the trade show. We're going to have to really think about this. Too much of anything is too much. And so we want to be like college football, short and sweet and powerful, as opposed to 100 and something game season. You can miss 30 games and it's not that bad. Don't do it, Cayman. Well, this wouldn't be for the trade show, 5 day. So this would be more for the workshop aspect of it. Not everybody would be interested in this. I'm thinking the way it'll be designed. It'll probably be more research heavy and workshop heavy. And maybe that's all it is. But for those who want to do that, I'm trying to think, how can we get more people through the microscope class, cut comb, and we like to do more wax candle making classes. And we really would want to do a creamed honey class next year, or workshop, I should say. So that's really what I'm looking forward to the most. And, as far as the numbers of people, I don't really have a number in my mind. Like, we're shooting to get 4,000 people next year. If we can maintain where we are, I'm happy with that. We're going to try to do things that make it attractive to where more people will come, but we're not making this conference to where it has to grow each year. That definitely is nice when it does, especially the main reason if I did want it to grow, it would be primarily for the vendors and their interest. Getting new people in and more people in is obviously good. Our trade show is kind of unique in the fact that we sell a lot of product there. Even outside of the bee industry, that's very different. Not a lot of conferences do it. There definitely are others that do that, but it's not very common. And a lot of people are asking, like, hey man, how much money do your vendors sell at your expo? I have no clue. I really have no clue. I don't like people getting in on my business. I'm not interested in nosing in on other people's business. All I want to hear is, yeah, we had a great time and yeah, we're coming back. As long as I hear that, we know we did a good job. So far, that's the feedback that we're getting from everybody. And so that's pretty much my goals for next year, is just make the quality better, dial it in, make it smoother, all that kind of stuff. Always a challenge.
See, did it again.
Dial it in.
It's like the beekeeper puns. You just, when they're so good, you just can't help yourself. Let's wrap it up, guys.
Brian, send him a Queen Right Doll hat so he can wear it on his live stream.
Maybe you'll send him a free one. Cayman, as we wrap this up, what is one pro tip that you would have for brand new beekeepers as they get going in this 2025 season? And we'll go around the room. Cayman, you first.
Sure. You know, we got to stick to the fundamentals. There's so many cool things out there. There really are. And, you know, I like my gadgets as much as anybody. I really do. But the most important thing is you can't have fun and you can't be successful until you really hammer the fundamentals. And then after that, you can dial it in. And so
that's 3 times I counted at least on that one.
There we go. And so the fundamentals, in my opinion, are great queens, dead mites, and good nutrition. And also the perspective of bees die. They die out in nature. That's how nature selects for better bees. And so you're going to lose some colonies just naturally. You know, all the greatest beekeepers I know lose bees. And so understanding that we need to make sure that our bees have plenty of food at all times. Bees have a very high metabolism and a short life. They can't afford to go days with very low nutrition, or they go a day without nutrition, they're toast. They just die. They've got to have it. And so we got to have plenty of food in there. The bees know what they have. Make sure they always have a good bit of weight. That's around 21 to 25 pounds minimum for a strong colony, which is about, 4 deep frames worth of food on the low end is what I want a good colony to have. And then queens is important, but a lot of you new beekeepers don't know hardly how to find the queen, and definitely don't want to kill your queen. So that's where I think you need to learn how to split. I think any beekeeper that is in their second year needs to learn how to split by their second year. It's such a sustainable way of doing it because a lot of losses are related to queen issues. And so if we are making splits with young queens, we have backups, then we're in a good spot. And then focus on your mite loads and don't wait till the last minute. Beekeepers, I've been guilty of this a lot. We wait till the longest almost we can get by before we need to treat for mites, and then we do it. And that's really harder on our bees, and it also asks a lot more of our treatments than we really should ask. And sometimes the treatments don't work quite as good as we would hope. And I think sometimes this is just weather related. So in my personal experience and all the guys that I know that make a tremendous amount of money in beekeeping, start early with gentle treatments. There's vaporizers, there's oxalic acid extended release products. And don't let your mites build up to high levels to where if one treatment doesn't quite get you where you need to be, it's a bad spot to be in. So start early, keep them low. And then doing those things, you're going to have a lot of success. And then you're going to have this problem where you're going to have to buy more gear because your bees keep wanting to split on you by swarming. And so whether you're getting in some wax dip boxes from Greg, honestly, I'm gonna throw you a plug, Greg. I'm gonna throw you a plug. Here you go. So it's a big thing I've been pushing lately in one of my talks, which is how to become a profitable sideliner and professional beekeeper. And we always talk about taking care of our bees, which is important. But what about getting the most value out of our investment into our equipment? And I also wax dip as well, as a lot of beekeepers do. I don't sell it, but I use it for myself. And if you're paying at $15 for a bare bones box, and you have to assemble it and all this stuff, it is cheaper. But there's a lot of painted boxes that are rotting within 4 to 5 years, especially if you're in a really wet area. So if we can get a box to last us 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and I've seen wax dip boxes that are stamped 1987. So those are 37 years old. Now they're located in California. That's a little bit of, that's not.
We won't hold that against them. They're still good boxes.
They get like 14 inches of rain a year, but protect your investment on your equipment because you're going to lose bees, but you got this equipment that you can derive value from for years. And if it's in good shape 10 years later and you want to sell some of your bees off because maybe you've been so good at keeping them alive, now that equipment still has value. You can sell those bees and boxes to somebody else. and you never take a hit on that rotten equipment loss, which I don't even want to even think about how much money I've lost to rotten equipment. So that's a long answer on my tips for that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Cayman. Investing in good equipment, it's hard to see at first when you're getting going and you're pinching pennies you're really trying to rub 2 pennies together to get a nickel, but eventually you realize how much those assets cost you, how much that equipment you buy once, sometimes you're buying 2 or 3 times, and that gets you, especially when you get into the 4th, 5th, 10th year of beekeeping. So folks eventually will realize that value and invest in good equipment. That's a great tip there. Brian, what's one tip you would have for brand new beginning beekeepers this 2025?
Yeah, I'll just piggyback everything that Cayman said, but also I tell people context is key. So get yourself a mentor, and every minute that you're going to spend with that mentor is just worth its weight in gold. Keep your nose down in the books, because there's, this next season will be my 9th year. I'm still learning. I'm just, I'm a rookie in the whole game. So just keep learning and don't get frustrated. Beekeeping, there's plenty of moments where you're going to be so super frustrated because you're going to pour your heart into this hobby, and you will have some failures. It's guaranteed. That's life. But just take a step back. And what I always say is look at that whole situation, find out what went wrong, and move forward and be a better beekeeper. So just live and learn and stick to it, and you will enjoy beekeeping.
That's solid for sure. Bruce, one pro tip from you for folks just getting started this year.
First of all, Cayman, thank you for putting on that conference, for joining us tonight. It was really a tremendous conference, and it's just, you're hitting your stride with this thing. You are truly dialing it in. But anyway, I would just agree with everything that both of you guys said. I don't have a lot to add to that, except I would say just one pro tip that I would recommend is start with a minimum of 2, ideally 4 colonies if you can. Because you just don't know. People ask me why, or they may wonder why. If you just have 1 colony of bees and you're not experienced, even if you are experienced, sometimes it's hard to tell how it's doing unless you have it set beside some other colonies. And so I would say minimum 2, ideally 4 colonies if you can. And that way you'll be able to really kind of get an idea of how the different colonies operate and vary. You can tell the difference in them. And like Brian said, if you have that mentor, he can tell you kind of what to do to fix it. You can learn a lot of things, even the difference in genetics and things like that. Just learn so much if you have more than 1 colony. Also, if you lose, if you have 1 colony, you lose it, then you have 100% loss. If you have 2 colonies, you lose 1, you got 50% loss. And if you have 4 colonies, you lose 1, you have 25% loss. And so it can be very, very discouraging for someone. It's frustrating to me if I lose a colony, but if someone who has 1 or 2 colonies loses 1 or both, if they lose 100% loss, it's difficult to want to keep going. And so that's just kind of the one thing I might add to that.
Yeah, that's well said. There's not much more that I would even want to add to any of those things. One thing I would encourage beginning beekeepers to do, and I say this, and as silly as it sounds, your number 1 most important beekeeping piece of equipment is that thinking chair. Put you a chair right outside of that colony where you can sit down, you can take a look at that colony from afar, but you can kind of get the you out of yourself. You can kind of get yourself in a good spot before you go work that colony. You'll find you'll start engaging with the colony rather than invading the colony when you give yourself time just to get yourself right. Whether it's prayer, meditation, just slowing down just long enough before you go in there. I think that makes a huge difference. The beekeeping tip shared from these guys already. I mean, between the 3 of you guys, there's decades and decades of hard lessons learned, and that is just solid gold from above. I would say this as we close. Cayman, thanks so much for everything that you and your team has done for this community, for the expo. Really looking forward to seeing what you do. Looking forward to seeing you enjoying all the things that you do a little bit more, getting able to where you can crack lids, let Madeiras crack skulls. You guys, it's going to be great. It's going to be a great year, the likes of which have never been seen. It's going to be awesome. We're all going to make beekeeping great again. It's going to be a big deal. The thing that I would tell folks is this: as simple as this sounds, whether it's beekeeping, it's your personal life, it is all tied in together. And the sooner that you realize everything is connected, the sooner you'll find peace and all those things. The tip that I would want to share with folks, the big thing, in my opinion, to keep in mind this year in life and in beekeeping, you're going to get going. You're going to get bit. You're going to get caught by you're going to want to just grow and grow and grow. And you can let the bees run your life. You can let the bees run your business. You can let the bees run every aspect. We have all been there and done that. And I'm here as a living testimony to tell you that path does lead towards destruction. The biggest thing that I can say, folks, as we sign off, that you can do is number one, put God number one, your family number two, put your bees and your business number three. You keep things in those orders, it will all fall in line, and it has made such a difference in my life. The guys here that you see on the screen, the guys that we look up to, the guys that are successful doing this long term, they do the same thing. So we can take a page out of those guys' book and say, hey, if it works for them, it's going to work for us. Until then, until next time, I want to remind you guys all to be the lighthouse and be the change you want to see in this world. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm Greg Burns, founder of Nature's Image Farm and EnduraHive wax-dipped equipment. Hey, as large family beekeepers, we saw a major need to do way better in protecting our investment with our beekeeping equipment from the elements for the long haul. So I coupled our practical beekeeping experience with our wood science background to create the EnduraHive wax-dipped line of beekeeping equipment. Our unique wax dip process expels water from the wood, replaces and impregnates it with our proprietary blend of microcrystalline wax, offering superior weather protection without the mess or expense of paint. Our equipment is protected from the weather inside and out, preventing box rot, fungal growth, and decomposition. That's a huge savings in both time and money. No more reworking tired, worn out boxes year after year. Our wax-dipped equipment is proudly made in the USA. So protect your investment with EnduraHive wax-dipped equipment. No paint, no rot, no hassle. EnduraHive, built to endure.